Jody. I really like the invitation you did for Mal. I just have a couple modification suggestions. One is to improve the dotted lines, and the other is I really like the dragon on the invitation sample you showed me better than this white one you did. So let's go to the sample invitation, the model, and then grab the marquee tool and just make a box around that dragon. And then I'm going to hit Control J to bring it on its own layer. I'm going to hit the little eye thing next to the background layer to make that invisible. Make sure this layer is highlighted, and then we're going to enlarge it, but to enlarge it without losing any of the resolution, I'm going to click this thing here and then turn it into a smart object. Alright, now I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and Scale. I'm going to hit the little infinity sign there up the top to lock the height and the width, and then just drag out to make it a lot bigger. I'm going to hit Enter, and then I'm going to take the Move tool, and I'm just going to drag this whole thing onto the invitation you did. And I'm just going to lay it on top. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it behind the layer with this little baby flying dragon there. I have it marked as flying dragon, so I'm going to put that below that by dragging it down there. And then with the move tool selected, I'm just going to move it sort of where I want it to be. And then I'm going to take this layer which is highlighted, the big dragon that we just enlarged. I'm going to hit Edit. I'm going to hit Transform. I'm going to hit Scale again. I'm going to click the little infinity sign to make sure it's locked again. And then I'm just going to shrink it down so it's about the right size. And then I'm going to hit the Enter key. And then I'm going to make sure the Move tool is selected and get it kind of where I want it to be. I want it to be more to the right. I'm hitting the right arrow key just so it's sort of a little more centered. And then I'm going to take the flying dragon and highlight that layer. Move tool is still selected. I'm going to move the little dragon up so it looks a little bit better, sort of next to that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, now I'm going to go down to your 3 vector layers, and I'm going to hide them by hitting the little eye thing next to it. Now, I like the size of this font, so I'm going to highlight that layer. That's your address. It's highlighted. And then I'm going to hit the font tool. And then I'm going to line up the font cursor with the beginning of this green box. And then I'm going to just use the period. And I'm going to draw a line that's just the same length as that green little box. Okay, then I'm going to take the Move tool and I'm going to use the down arrow key and put that right below your address. And kind of center it up where it's in the middle. That looks pretty good. Now, with that layer highlighted, hitting the Alt key, make sure the Alt key is pressed. I'm just going to drag it up and make a copy of that layer. I'm going to do that one more time and make a third copy. So now I have 3 of these periods. They're all on top of each other. Now I'm going to highlight the second one. Move tool is selected. I'm just going to use the up arrow key and move that one sort of centered between those 2 lines. That looks pretty good. Now, the tricky part is I'm going to highlight the top one which again is still duplicated right here. I'm going to make sure the font tool is selected. I'm going to line up the cursor with the end of that line. And in fact, I think you have to double click it to really highlight that layer. I'm going to line up the font tool at the end of that line. And I'm just going to shorten it by hitting the backspace key just to get it a little bit shorter. All right, now I'm going to double click that layer again to highlight that. I'm going to go up here to Edit, Transform, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Okay, I'm going to hit the Move tool. I'm going to use the up arrow. I'm going to get it pretty close to that green box in height. Not quite touching it. I'm going to use the right arrow to get it sort of in the center of those two. Okay, and I'm going to trim this bottom area down here. So I'm going to double click that layer again. Make sure the tool is on the font tool. I'm going to line up the cursor at the bottom. And I'm going to hit the backspace key until it's just right. There we go. Now I'm going to make sure this layer and the two horizontal, no, just this layer, the one we have highlighted, is centered. So I'm going to leave that highlighted. I'm going to scroll down to the background layer. I'm going to hit the Control key so those two layers are highlighted. I'm going to make sure the Move tool is selected, and then I'm going to hit this little one with the line going through the center, and sure enough, that's dead center now. Okay. That's it. Okay. And I think that looks just as good, if not better. I like the little texturing in this dragon here, but I definitely think the dotted lines look a little bit better. And then all you have to do is go up to File, and I'm going to save it. I'm going to give it a new letter, a name, Invite 1, and I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to send it to you, and that's your Photoshop lesson. Take care, Joe.